Chapter 1, Ashford Bay. Part 6. The Lightkeeper. By noon the fog had loosened its grip enough to let color back into the world, though it kept a finger on the town like a possessive lover. I bought a thermos at the hardware that still smelled like rope and varnish, filled it at a diner with coffee that meant what it said, and borrowed a paper sack of bread from a woman who called me dear like she charged by the word. The Lighthouse didn't ask visitors to come hungry. The point was a shoulder the Atlantic had never managed to dislocate. The path to the tower ran along a fence that didn't bother to believe in itself. I walked with my hands where any man could count them, remembering the librarian's advice: bring coffee, stand where he can see your hands, offer respect like it's currency. Up close, the lighthouse showed its work. Paint worn thin on the windward side, iron railings salted white, a door with a brass plate that had learned to forget names. I knocked once and felt the sound go into the bones of the place. He opened like he'd been beside the door all morning. Grady had a face the sea might recognize, tanned to old leather, creased where weather writes its small, true history. Rope burns had taught his hands to hold and let go without complaint. He looked past me first, at the path, the fence, the world, and only then let his eyes settle. "Mr. Grady," I said. "Jonathan Reed." I lifted the bag and the thermos. "Peace offering." "Peace ain't mine to grant," he said, but the corner of his mouth agreed to the terms. "Bring it in out the damp." Inside smelled like oil and soap and the clean salt that sneaks in through seams. The room at the base kept a table, a couple of chairs, and the kind of stove that forgave sins if you fed it right. A set of stairs wound up past a wall hung with charts and a calendar that lagged by 2 days on purpose. A boy sat at the table with a pencil and the patience of somebody who had been told patience was a job. 16, maybe. Dark hair cropped close, the shape of a man deciding whether to arrive early. He lifted his eyes once, like a bird that didn't want to show you its wings, and then bent to his work. "My son," Grady said, not offering a name as if names cost favors. "Coffee'll go to his head. I'll take enough to bring it down again." I poured. The thermos didn't embarrass me. The bread found the knife without my help. Grady cut slices with the care of a man who'd learned to count a ration. When he'd tasted the coffee and decided it could live, he leaned a shoulder against the table and looked me over from hat brim to conscience. "You walked the teeth last night," he said. "I walked near them." "Near's plenty." He took another sip. "Did you find what you were looking for?" "I found that men talk when they think the sea will keep their secrets," I said. "And that the sea is a gossip if you listen in the right places." He gave the smallest nod. "The ocean keeps time. Folks forget." The boy turned a page in the log. The handwriting had been trained into good posture, clean numbers, careful letters. He had a habit of touching the edge of the paper with his fingertips after he wrote, as if blessing the line. He didn't look at the sea through the window. He looked at the brass clock and the log and made the sea come to him. "Mr. Pike," I said. Grady's jaw tightened and dismissed the motion. "A good fisherman. Not good enough at falling." "Dr. Avery says drowning with a head wound," I said. "The sheriff says the town minds its own. What do you say?" "I say I lit when I was meant to," he said. "The light tells men where not to go. It doesn't make 'em obey. Did you see a boat where a boat had no business?" "Night makes a lot of business," he said. "Fog makes more." He put down his cup. "Some men wait for the lamp to roll and then move between its sentences. They think that keeps them from being read. And does it? Truth has ways," he said. "It don't always use light." His eyes went to the boy and back, like a habit he meant to break someday. "Why are you here, Mr. Reed?" "Because a note told me the lamp judges," I said. "Because I'd like to know what it saw." The boy's pencil paused. Not a flinch. Just a small interruption, like a comma where a period wanted to be. He didn't look up. Grady's hand made a slow fist and let go. "The light saw fog," he said. And Fogg saw me. That's most nights. He took the bread, chewed in a way that did the thinking for him. Your shoes are wrong for the stairs, he added, as if kindness had slipped his leash. I glanced up. The spiral rose into the lens room, where glass sat like a patient jewel. Oil cans kept company with a coil of line, a toolbox, and a shallow drawer that had been left a finger's width open. The boy didn't see me see it. Grady did. I set my cup down. Mind if I take a look? Mind if you don't, he said. Then I won't. I stayed put. Ephraim Pike did work for the docks. Pike and Sons, paint, repair. You ever see his brush near your rail? Pike painted hulls and pride, Grady said. He didn't paint my iron. He didn't have to. The boy closed the log as if the hour had ended itself. He slid the book to the edge of the table with exactness, squared its corners to the wood, and spoke without invitation. Men say a lot when they come here, he said. His voice was low and exact, as if it had been sharpened on the same stone as his pencil. They say the lamp saved them. They say it blinded them. They say it missed. The lamp doesn't say anything back. What do you say? I asked him. He lifted his eyes. They were not a boy's eyes. They kept their own ledger. I say men lie to the light and then wish the light could lie for them. Grady's hand touched his son's forearm, not hard, not soft. We got chores, he said. To me, you brought coffee. Thank you. Now take what's left of your day and spend it someplace it won't cost you. On the wharf? I said. Not while the sheriff's boots are there, he said. He's fond of asking the right question in the wrong tone. I set the thermos down where a man would logically find it later and stood. A nail in the stair post had caught a scrap of cloth, red that had bled into brown. Old or new, you couldn't prove by eye. I didn't reach for it. The boy was looking right at me without moving his head. Mr. Grady, I said. One more question. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He waited. During the war, I said, did the light keep crimpers for seal wire? The kind that leaves a star inside a ring. He stared at me like a man who's learning how much a stranger already knows. Then he nodded once, a concession to history if not to me. We did what the Coast Guard told us, he said. We sealed ration crates and radio parts and the kind of things that wanted to wander. After, the crates stopped coming. Tools don't always remember to leave. The crimper's still here. Somewhere, he said. In a drawer the sea forgot. I didn't look at the one that was a finger's width open. If a man found a seal near the teeth, lead, cut, that stamp, what would he think? He'd think men still like to count, even when counting gets them wet, Grady said. And he'd think you were asking him to say a thing he didn't see. I'm asking if the lamp judged anything last night. The lamp turned, he said, tired for the first time. It'll turn tonight. Outside, gulls wrote their opinion of the day against the wind. I thanked him and meant it. The boy stood when I moved to the door and watched the line of my shoulders the way a tailor watches a suit walk out. On the threshold he said, you shouldn't go to the docks alone. Because a man could fall. Because a man could jump, he said, and let me go. The path back made the town a watercolor. I took the low road to the wharf because advice is a thing I respect after I've ignored it. The office window showed Eli Morse at the desk with his neat head bent. Through the wire glass, he and his bandage and the ledger that wasn't there made a still life of omission. I didn't try the door. I watched. After a minute he stood, crossed to the rack, changed the order of 2 clipboards for no reason a normal man would have, and reached down behind the file cabinet like a man who drops the same coin every day and never learns to hold it. When he came up, his hand was empty but his pocket was fuller. The bandage pulled and he didn't wince. A careful man can forget to perform pain. Mick's door was open to let the air lie about itself. Inside, the rest was on its afternoon lull. A few men nursed glasses with no appetite. The radio talked baseball to a room that pretended to care. Mick saw me and set a cup without asking. Coffee again. He believed in hydration. You look like you met the light, he said. I met the man who keeps it breathing. Grady's both kinds of stubborn, Mick said. The kind that keeps you alive, and the kind that makes you unfriendly. He leaned his elbows on the bar. Sheriff's been by, asking if I heard a motor off the teeth around midnight. I didn't. The fog heard plenty. Eli Morse. I said. Makes the numbers behave, Mick said. If he ever ran away, the clipboards would go with him like ducklings. Who pays him? Mick's eyes did a little calculation. The Harbor Committee. Which is to say the men who can afford to pretend the committee is real. Mr. Caldwell writes the checks that require 3 signatures and provides 2. Henry or Richard? The father writes, Mick said. The son throws the pen. He straightened when the door breathed a new perfume. And speaking of men who make noise. She stepped in like the fog had made an exception. Red dress, because the town liked consistency in its rumors. Blonde hair set in a way the afternoon loved and the night would have to applaud. Lily didn't belong to anybody, which meant the room belonged to her until she let it go. Mick, she said, voice warm as a good lie. They told me your piano misses me. It misses rent more, he said, but he smiled with both sides of his face. You on tonight? If the fog behaves, she said. Her eyes slid over the men and came to a stop on me as if I were the one chair that wasn't where it should be. New. Read, I said. Lily, she said, which I already knew. You drink coffee by choice. By design. Keep to it, she said. The harbor's trafficking in hangovers with counterfeit labels. She leaned on the bar with a casualness that was an audition for sincerity. You staying at the Seaward? Tell Mr. Greeley I want the good room Saturday or the bad song Tuesday. I'll pass the threat, I said. She tilted her head toward the door as if the day had knocked and she wasn't sure whether to let it in. Try not to make friends with men who stand on docks counting, she said. They don't count people. The smile she gave me was a receipt. Paid in full, no returns. When she went to the back to say something private to the piano, Mick exhaled like he'd been holding his breath since she was born. She sings better than the truth does, he said. Most people do, I said. The afternoon moved. On my way out, a sheet from the Chronicle on the notice board flapped against a nail like it had grown impatient. A meeting of the Harbor Committee at 7, Town Hall, weather permitting, Henry Caldwell would preside. The list of agenda items ended with accounting irregularities printed smaller than the rest, as if the letters were shy about their future. Out in the gray, the lighthouse turned and kept turning. The day offered me 2 doors, the town hall where money would speak, and the docks where absence had a voice. I put my hat down against the damp and let the harbor smell choose for me for the length of one long breath. Then I went where the numbers lived.